24 Hours of Le Mans is one of the most iconic races in motorsports history. This legendary track set the benchmark for endurance competitions. Premier car manufacturers, the best teams, cutting-edge technology, and the top drivers in the world all clash at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. These classic battles capture the attention of the entire racing world every year. This is the 24 Hours of Lemons.
Baltimore.
It is noticeably less prestigious. Also a 24-hour endurance race, this series is comprised of $500 race cars, questionable engineering, and a mediocre talent. The following is the story of one such team of misfits.
We're at Carolina Motorsports Park, CMP, in Kershaw, South Carolina for 24 Hours of Lemons.
Approximately 8 or 9 years ago, a group of racers out in California over some adult beverages decided that buying $500 cars and racing them for 24 hours made sense. They tried it in several different tracks, and the first successful one was here at Carolina Motorsports Park.
My father and I had been doing some DE days and some Porsche racing as a father-son hobby, and this was something that we enjoyed and we could do together. Had kept hearing kind of buzz in the background, like this thing about lemons, 24-hour lemons. It's obviously a playoff of 24 Hours of Le Mans, one of the most famous races in the world.
The Lemons race is something that I knew about, but no details, never raced in it before. I thought it was interesting. I thought, you know, I might want to try that sometime.
One car, 4 drivers, 24 hours. You know, you look at these factory-sponsored cars, they have trouble making it 24 hours. So to do 24 hours in a $500 car, it is definitely a challenge and it's a unique concept.
So it's real racing with a twist. The twist is the fact that every car has to have a theme. You try to get away with putting more into the car and bribing the judges.
Safety equipment, the roll cages, the fire suits and all that are free. They're not part of it. But if you do anything to make the car faster or stronger or whatever, that's penalized against you. What we have here is a lot of nuts and bolts and bits and pieces that probably should have never been associated with each other that we're trying to drive for 24 hours.
I think what appealed to both of us was sort of, this is the last of the nomadic group of people that travel the United States going track from track. You race on Saturday and Sunday, drive Monday, Tuesday to wherever, set up tent, you know, get your car set up, fix whatever broke last time, like get out there and experience life, and what a cool way to spend a weekend.
A serious incident on the track and a casual conversation after work form the humble beginnings of this race team.
I was driving a Volvo and had a pretty bad wreck, I guess. Wasn't my fault, but I got turned sideways in the corner and T-boned, and they shut down the entire race for me. With the ambulance there and the police department, the fire department, and tow truck, finally got the car going and brought it in. And when I got in, being one of the only women out here driving, everybody anticipated me being, you know, scared or crying. But instead, I got out of the car and I was upset and mad and wanted to find the person who had hit me and turned me broadside in the corner, causing the wreck. So that's how I came to drive with Doran and Brian Edwards.
The big secret to Lemons is a lot of these cars are not $500 cars, but this was a $500 car. We bought the car, that was a huge debacle in and of itself, got it out on the track, didn't run, didn't work.
The first lap, the right front wheel fell.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
The
very first
lap. This one right here.
Steve.
Yep. Steve in the car.
That did actually come off on the track.
It did. 3 years ago I bought the car. 2 years ago tried to race it. We got a total of 55 laps out of it for the whole weekend. And Ann was in it the last time when it coasted to a dead stop just past the start-finish line down there.
I didn't want to put any more money into it. Basically, at the end of that Lemons weekend, Everyone was just done, and the car sat for 2 years, and that was it.
Another fella that I knew was talking to my son. They came up with the idea they'd like to go lemons racing again.
Met this great editor by the name of Brian, and he did some work for us, and one time we got together for a few adult beverages, and all of a sudden we were here doing this.
You know, I kind of pitched it. I just met with Jeff one time, and there's this thing called lemons racing. The drama that happens here, the things that go wrong, the tensions that are there are all real. None of that needs to be manufactured. Lemons is ripe for compelling TV.
I used to do a bit of racing, SCCA. I thought, what the heck, I'd like to do that. And knowing his father very well too, we got this harebrained idea.
It just all came together, and here we are like 4 or 5 months later, sitting in the pits at CMP.
Lord knows what'll happen, but we're having fun with it, that's for sure.
I'm going to show you the most important button on the entire car. See how it says off with the lightning bolt and the red button? That is the it has all gone wrong. The car is on fire, the world is ending button. So when it all goes wrong, that is the button you hit. It turns off all the electrics to the car, hopefully helps kill the gas fire that may or may not be happening. That is the master switch right there. You hit that and the whole car goes dead.
Ooh, look at that.
Oh, yeah. Lots of stuff around here.
The hunt is on for a car, so the team owners visit a friend and car guru to get some advice.
And an oil cooler in the fender also. I've never tried it, but the guy said, man, you can climb up on this thing if you want to. And at like 100 miles an hour, it's supposed to put down like 400 foot-pounds of pressure downforce. The headers are jet coated and so are the mufflers. It had the old 901 transmission, which was like in a 914, where the shift pattern first is over and down.
When the guys mention a car they're interested in, a sudden crash course in engineering begins.
I think we're looking at a regular 940.
Right. And I'm not trying to talk you out of it, you know, it's just a whole different beast. If you're gonna track the car and all, you really need to take the oil pan off of it. You drop the subframe, check the rings out, check the cylinder walls, and the number 2 rod will be the one to give it up. Cross drilling to the crank, it's the rod bearings you're really concerned about. The mains are okay. It's probably a good idea to pull the head and have the head checked out. Each interval has been around 100,000 miles. Timing belts every 3 years. You do the tensioners every other time. If you don't have that balance shaft set up, it'll shake you to death. There's a manifold available. You lose valves, it's just like
you keeping up with all this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody with a 44, and that's like first thing you do, even a driver's ed car. Those are it, that's it, you know, and like you say, you can't do anything to the motor performance enhancement wise, you know. You keep the oil changed and keep it clean, it'll just go and go and go. And I don't drive that car easy on the track, but we can go out and uncover Steve's car. You want to kind of look at it?
Let's go see what it looks like in the car.
Reeling from the overflow of technical advice, the team owners look at a car similar to the one they want to build.
They almost look like headers, but they're not.
But they're not.
Right.
Okay, so that's what we want.
Right. This should be okay, because all it does is make the throttle response quicker. So he's drawing in straight cold air here, and he has braided lines underneath these.
I think that would be okay. That's
yeah,
safety.
that's like safety.
That's safety. I think safety's okay.
I'm just letting you know that's what that is, you know.
Good, okay.
And that's deleting weight and air conditioning that you don't want on there.
Okay.
You have to change that shaft right there. The drive length is different. But there's just a lot, those are little tricks of the trade, but those are things, little nice upgrades. Weld-in cage with the knee bar.
Yep.
Integrates it in under the dash, whatever. But these are really nice. You got the door, you get rid of the window. The bolt-in cage works fine, you know what I'm saying? But this is the way, it's a $2,500 deal, I think, is about what I've heard.
With the price tag climbing, the guys spot another car they might want to make a deal on.
It's a European model. In other words, it wasn't built for the US spec car. It was imported in. and the fuel injection is in a real mess, and it's everything, you know, almost all the components on the injection's bad from sitting. It could be thousands of dollars, you know. I don't know what he's going to do with this thing. He may want to get rid of it. He probably wants to get rid of it. It's all kind of a horse trading thing, you know. Rubber's not going to last any time. Remember how the 911s, you ran them and they were just soft and mushy and they fell apart. And then the other thing is sway bars. Anti-sway bars, you need to go with those.
What's it going to take for us if we get a car for $500 and strip it down to make it into a racer? What do you think it's going to cost us to put in the cage, put in the safety equipment, do the top and the bottom of the engine like you talked about, and get it where it will be reliable enough to go through a whole weekend of lemons racing?
No less than $4,000 or $5,000, probably.
With engine repairs and safety equipment costs soaring over their budget, the team owners thank the guru and call it a day.
This is going in my personal garage.
Armed with knowledge from the expert, the guys chase a hot lead on a Porsche 944 with a roll cage for only $500.
BMW looks nice. Yeah, I like the BMW, and those are great cars. I don't think we can convince them this is $500. Now, nice. Well, he's got some others over here by the fence.
Red 944 sitting over there, but I think
that one back there looks like. Okay, yeah, that does have the roll cage.
Why the price is only $500 is soon apparent. The car is missing the entire front suspension.
Well, it's been stripped out. That's the good part.
yes.
The frame looks okay. The interior's not badly rusted. The seats have got to come out.
The roll bar is welded, it's not bolted.
No, it's a welded. That's good.
Solid, yeah.
That's good.
It does have a motor.
It does have an engine. Yep. The engine and tranny is still in it,
Yeah, that's a good thing.
and it has the header configuration there. No front suspension whatsoever.
Right, yep.
So that's going to have to be bought and then put in and then aligned.
Despite the unexpected setback, the search continues.
And it's got race seats in it, and those are modern spec race seats.
Yeah, they've got the 4-point wheels and everything.
Yep. And that one's locked. All right. Let's see. Eliminate, delete. Thing over here to take the air conditioner and
Yes.
thing. Actually, this one makes more sense than the other one. Whole lot less work on this one. It was just more cost to put in the.
But does this have the roll cage?
That's exactly what I'm going to. We
Yeah.
have to put a $2,000 roll cage in it. But there's more parts to strip out and sell. We already have a suspension system. I would hazard a guess we'd have a better chance with this one. But I haven't talked to him about it. I don't know what he wants for it.
Right. Well,
With their $500 find a bust, the guys leave empty-handed, still searching for a vehicle.
There is no telling.
With time and money in short supply, a change in strategy sends the team owners to visit a local racing legend in the area.
So we're going to go out and see this guy, C.C. Canada. Been involved in racing a long time. It's my understanding that he has a Lemons car for sale.
okay, what kind of car does he have?
I believe he's got a 240 Volvo that has been prepared as a race car.
I thought we were going after the Porsche 944.
Well, I mean, the 444 is a good thought, but it's a bare car. It has nothing in it. We're going to have to tear it down. Then we're going to have to put a $2,000 roll cage in it and build it into a race car, and that's going to take quite a bit of money. And I think he only wants about $2,500 for this thing.
Well, that's not a bad price, but there's a lot to be said for building your car from the ground up.
Well, and I don't disagree with the idea of building our own car. I mean, I kind of like that idea. I love getting my hands on the pieces, parts of one. But right now, I'm kind of interested in a $2,500 price tag as opposed to, for $2,500, we get a roll cage and a car we have to put together. I mean, we've got a race coming up in September. We just don't have that much time to put into it. I don't know how often we can get the guys together to get in here and thrash on this thing.
Wrecked but still running, a familiar car emerges as a possible turnkey racer.
You get in, dog. We went through the car totally before we ever did anything. It was set up to run the vintage SCCA.
Oh, okay. Yes.
You know, if you're running at Lemons, that you didn't pay more than $500 for the car, you got to have a bill of sale. That's what that baby is there.
Oh, okay, cool.
On a short track, it would be a top 10 car. On the long track, it's probably a top 20 car. You just got to stay out there. But this car wouldn't have as much top speed as some of the other cars. When you drive, I used to drive Lotus 7s, but this car here, when it turns in just as good as a Lotus 7. There's almost no body lean. All the shocks, springs, all that stuff new.
Okay.
It's got a heavy duty radiator. Never had any heating problem. No heating problem.
Good.
Tension flares as the team owners debate strategy and which of the two cars is the best way forward for the coming race.
I mean, let's get down to it. If we have the Volvo, and assuming it is as good as it's been told it is, we have a car that we can bring back within a few weeks, get the team together and actually put them on the track to drive. Give everybody some experience with it. With a 944, if we could get everybody together and work on the car, there's not going to be any time to practice.
I still think it's a better car if we want to win. The Volvo, I'm not so sure it'll win.
I'm not going to listen to that nonsense.
I've driven a Porsche SCCA before. I know what I'm talking about. They're balanced, they're fast.
It's faster, it's better balanced. As a race car, it's a better race car. As a Lemons car, it is nowhere near as prepared as that Volvo. And in a long distance endurance race, if you don't have the preparation, you don't finish. And if you don't finish, you can't win.
Man, that Volvo probably will just run and run and run. I don't know, be in the pits less, I guess.
If we finish, we have a chance of being a good car, a top 30 car. And that's going to look good, that's going to feel good.
We're here to win, we're not here just to drive around.
He's just got to think about the fact that finishing is better than failing.
I just don't want to spend the money on a car I don't want to drive around that track.
His expectations are unrealistic.
With little time or money to build or repair a car before race day, the team is forced to make a decision no one expected.
We made a valiant effort to find a different car to race. There were too many problems, too many pieces, too many obstacles, and not enough time to put the car together, so we ended up with this one again.
A sudden disappearance creates newfound problems for the struggling team.
Without getting into too much detail, where the car was stored, the owner of that facility ended up having some personal problems, basically dropped off the face of the earth. We had to go and steal our car back from that facility.
The guys ask a friend for a favor.
We had to figure out how to get into his garage and steal our car back.
Get you down to tire up at 9 o'clock.
Perfect. All right, we will be there.
We're lucky. He knows who you are.
All right, I appreciate that a great deal. We will make sure we take good care of them for them taking good care of us.
Right, you check back with me later today, and then I will be glad to take it easy.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The next thing, once we got that done, we took it to a mechanic to figure out why it had blown up in the first place. Because of the way this car has been cobbed together through the years, it no longer matches any of the years of the engine, transmission, and body style. A nationwide search finally turned up an engine and transmission combination that we were going to put in this car, and when they were delivered, the engine didn't have all the parts.
Doran did a phenomenal job getting things together, but we were really concerned about whether we'd have a car ready and everything.
You know, we're talking about a 2-decade-old car. They're not just everywhere. So they spent 3 months just trying to get the car to run.
2 weeks ago, this car was not running. 2 weeks ago, this car was a pile of junk in somebody's garage. And this car was running last week for the very first time in 2 years. I haven't seen the car till today. We found a transmission in North Carolina. I bought it online, having never seen it. I then had to call a friend of mine who lived in South Carolina to drive to North Carolina and bring it back because they wouldn't ship it. They get to the garage. The mechanics are Porsche mechanics, not Nissan mechanics. On their spare time, and very much so because of their generosity, we are here today. They built this car together. They fixed things I didn't even know was wrong with it, and we got here with a reliable vehicle.
The simple fact that by Thursday, we had a car that was ready to be delivered, and as promised, very happy indeed. A lot of work.
Point 1, steal your own car back. Point 2, car hasn't run in 2 years, didn't run great when it did. My dad pushed through, Jeff pushed through. Friday, when we showed up at CMP, the car was sitting in the pits.
With sheer determination, calling in favors, and liberal crossing of palms with green, we were able to get a car here that we feel like is reliable for the weekend.
I like basics. The steering wheel fits. When I put the key in the ignition, it starts. And so far, all the gears seem to be there.
After a hectic month of preparation, the team assembles to finally go racing.
It's quite a long ways, 10 or 12 hour drive, but the rest of the team did similar. Some of them flew from California.
Our team is literally spread coast to coast. Getting to the track in and of itself is an effort.
On Thursday, we gathered the team in Nashville, Tennessee, started driving here at approximately 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon. Huge traffic, huge construction, ended up arriving about 2:30 in the morning.
The past 25 minutes, how far do you think we've gone?
I'd say we've gone 3/4 of a mile.
And what time do you think we'll get in the hotel tonight?
I believe we will now be delayed until 1:23.
You excited about getting that tomorrow and getting on the track all day?
You know it. I might even just stay up all night.
As mentioned, we got 8 hours of sleep in 3 hours. So we woke up pretty tired, but even with a couple cups of coffee, that still doesn't pick you up like walking into this garage and seeing that car sitting there. That's such a battle to get it here and ready to run. A lot of work and all of that, so real excitement there.
No sleep, you're up, you're showered, you're getting breakfast, and you're at the track. So Friday, everyone starts out a little sluggish, but I cannot explain to you, and I think anybody that's ever done any racing with, when you get here and you get in the paddock and you see the car and you start feeling the environment around you, the adrenaline kicks in, you're fired up, ready to go.
Friday morning, I was driving around the hotel motel and saw Brian and Doran and stopped the car and got out, had big hugs with everybody and high fives, and everybody's just ready to get out here and race.
Ladies and gentlemen, check. Our Lewis car is open.
The team now faces the final and most serious hurdle in the process to go racing, the technical inspection of the car.
We have to register at the track, and we also have to register as drivers. You have to have both of these if you're going to be a driver in the track. So we've got that taken care of.
For all the nonsense and the hilarity that sort of ensues, safety is actually a very important and very serious topic here. Belts, safety harnesses, roll cages, driver suits, all of that has to be teched.
The next item was that the car itself has to go through what's called a technical inspection.
Limits tech is 10 minutes.
Limits tech is 10 minutes. Okay.
All right. I'm asking is, are we going to make tech with this car?
Okay, so I don't have the tech form. I don't have it filled out. I don't know whether everything on it has been checked off. We are going to pass tech.
We have to get the
jack out and do all that stuff.
So I distracted you. Okay. Yep. So just check them all off.
Just check them all off inside. Okay.
Yep.
Here we go. Fingers crossed. Big moment. Big moment.
Okay, tech. Form is filled out properly. Ready to go. Pass this. Get the okay. We get our driver's armband, and then we're go on the track. Go play.
While inspecting the car, a tech official suddenly has concerns about the roll cage.
Well, explain to me what's going on here. Here. All right, fix that fire extinguisher Why they did it? It's probably an old bolt.
So we passed the technical inspection, although there was a little bit of a question about some of the welds on our roll cage, which is an older style, and they have changed some of the rules.
I was actually sitting back listening and praying at the same time that they'd let us go. Fortunately, they did, but it was kind of tense there for a moment. But then when we were cleared, we came back, clapping each other on the back and all of that.
They agreed that we met the safety standards that they had for the track, and they were going to let us run. So we were signed off, we got all of our gear checked, and we were ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, to your last practice session.
Yep, transponder. Off I go again.
With both car and drivers officially cleared to race, it's now time for one of the most unique aspects of 24 Hours of Lemons.
The theme of each car is part of the craziness of Lemons.
Jeff has a, I think everyone would say, a very memorable mustache.
Someone called me Pancho Villa once, so why not? We're going with this to Bandoleros and Chuihuahuas.
So we're about to put a pristine, at least $50 paint job on this car, at least $50. So actually, because money counts, no, this is going to be like a $14 paint job, I'm not going to lie to you. Maybe, what we got, like 12 bucks the whole thing, Jeff?
I think so.
12 bucks, all right. So we have a $12 paint job. Okay. They get really angry about like painting over taillights. I don't, whatever. As you can see, the finest 20-minute paint job that a roller and 10 bucks of paint can buy. We have a red, white, and green car. Got the big mustache in honor of Jeff on the front. In all seriousness, this is probably the most precise thing I will do this entire weekend. Like, this will take me more time, and I'll pay more attention to it than probably any other kind of race prep that we have done. This has got to be right. So this is a key moment. This is actually very important.
We dress up in costumes that match the theme of the car, and they are some wild costumes.
And yeah, we had, sombreros on and just having a lot of fun.
Again, it sounds very simple, but everyone's fired up that the car works. That's a huge thing. We got the car painted, we're on point. Everything is working as it should right now, and the big thing is we're about to head to the parade.
Michigan, so that was a brilliant.
We are at the staging area for the parade in downtown Camden, South Carolina.
After grueling months of problems and disappointment, the drivers are ready to cut loose and enjoy the Lemons experience.
Parade that we have through downtown Camden is the unique part of this race. It's the only one in the United States that does that.
Obviously, culture is a huge part of this whole thing. There's a vibe here, there's very interesting, unique people. There's a culture that surrounds Lemons.
Parade was just fantastic. Allowed people to really get out there and get goofy, and that's exactly what they did.
I was hoofing it down there with bribes for the judges, and everybody's in 2 rows lined up in this long procession to start the parade. And I just busted it right in front of everybody. Fell flat on my face, everybody clapped, but it's Lemons. That's what happens.
You know, we're going downtown the parade, get in the car, everybody's hanging out, taking pictures, the people on the sides waving at you. It's a fun feeling.
It's a big block party, and we have a police escort into downtown with these totally ridiculous, non-street legal cars.
All of these cars that, you know, completely like stripped out, not road legal, like crazy colors and designs are driving through very picturesque downtown Camden, loud and noisy and obnoxious.
Camaraderie was just fantastic. You got to meet a bunch of other people in crazy costumes, get your picture taken, drinks were flowing, and it was just a lot of fun, and it was very different. I go to Formula One races, and sure, they have street parties, but this was much different because you're really involved in it. You're one of them all dressed up.
I'm basically Pancho Villa.
You're Pancho Villa.
Or the leader of the Bandoleros.
The party is in full swing, and it's time for teams to lie and bribe the judges to improve their chances for the race.
They shut down the town, there's live music, and everybody's having a drink and having a good time. It is a fun, festive environment. And then they have what's called the BS inspection.
And that's where you try to lie to the judges as to why your $50,000 race car is a $500 car. In our case, we had no problems at all convincing them this was a $500 car.
I knew the BS inspection existed. I didn't know what to expect. I was told that people typically put a bottle of Jaeger in their car as a bribe in case something happens. Being that our theme was Mexican, I thought, well, I'm going for tequila. So I put a bottle of tequila underneath the hood, thinking that if anything goes wrong, this ought to get us past.
You have to pop the hood, they look at your motor and go, okay, you're gonna be penalized 10 laps because that's obviously a built motor, or you've got a full like race suspension under your car, you're being penalized 6 laps. Well, that's where maybe there's a bottle of tequila or whiskey or Jaeger in the engine bay. The cars get bribed and people work out deals, and it's usually supposed to be fun.
So yeah, we were all excited and just having a lot of fun, and then finally they got down to us and kind of put a damper on things.
Right. What's under there? Really? 1.6. Incredibly
We actually are deficient one piece of the bar door over there. They're supposed to have 2 doors on that door, and we got 2 on this one. We don't have 2 on that one. So we have to get a welder and a piece of steel to put in there tonight. We cannot allow it on the track tomorrow until that's done.
Once the guy looked at our car, he suddenly decided that we were not in compliance with the roll bars and that we needed an extra set of bars on the passenger's door side.
An extra bar a little higher up for added protection, and they actually said we will not race unless that is fixed. And even that fine bottle of tequila did not allow us to race.
Truly ours is a $500 car. We did not cheat. This is a $500 car. I thought the BS inspection was going to be very fast. Like, come up, yep, that's a $500 car, walk away. In the course of about 10 seconds, it went from being a fun, festive environment to crisis and real concern and anger.
So I'm getting ready to go see if I can find some place to come up with all that.
So we got to find, we don't, what's wrong?
We can't drive tomorrow until we have a second door bar on the passenger side.
Wow, okay.
If they had told us that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, we could have gotten that taken care of. At 8 o'clock at night on Friday, with the race starting the next morning, we were totally out of luck. We weren't going to be allowed on the track. We didn't have a welder. We didn't have a door bar piece. We had no way of knowing how to get one.
They're saying they missed it, but it's our fault. If we had read the rules, we would have known in advance that that needed to be done.
You want to be safe. Everybody wants to be safe out there. So no one's complaining about that. I mean, they probably should have caught it on Friday when we were going through tech.
I cannot, those words are still ringing in my ear. What do you mean we can't race tomorrow? I have your tech inspection form. Like, we passed. I have this. What are you talking about?
No, it was very tense. It was very frustrating. We were kind of upset that we had already passed tech. Why now have we got something totally new? That's a safety issue that should have been covered the first time.
If we had known this at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we'd already had this.
Agreed. That's it. 2 p.m. is easier than 8 p.m. And the other thing is, to your point, you either have a system in place that we have to go through, and that's fine. I'll jump through all your hoops. But once I've done that, I'm through your hoops and I'm done.
The other question is, how much is this going to cost?
Right. Oh yeah. That's right. Oh, by the way, you're going to pay for this somehow. Safety is key, and I don't have a problem with safety. What I have a problem with is you either have a benchmark and a set standard or you don't. We either passed your tech or we didn't. You cannot retroactively come to us at 8 p.m. on a Friday night and say, this doesn't work, you don't get to race tomorrow. Good luck.
The race started the next morning. There wasn't a whole lot to do on a Friday night for people to find, to do it, shops open, so.
We were excited, we were good to go, everybody was all ramped up, and now all of a sudden, the rug's been jerked out from under us. We are not getting on the track unless we get this thing physically fixed, and we have no options.
40 miles back the
No
other
one's going to be available. Everybody's doing it Friday. No one's doing it until Friday night. So here's the thing. I didn't come from the West Coast to the East Coast not to race tomorrow. That's what I didn't do that. Okay. So like, I'm not yelling at you guys. I am just saying we've got to figure this out.
I came down here all excited to be racing, and then to have something like that happen and possibly not race, because where are you going to find a welder and everything on a Friday night? We were frustrated, very frustrated, and I was concerned that we would not be able to race.
Yeah, we were out of the race. That was it, and that was devastating. We were about as low as you can get at that point.
We spent all this money, all this time, all this blood, sweat, and tears to throw this thing in the local pond and go home.
I feel like that Lemons, the higher powers that be, were in the wrong. That's the whole other thing. I'm not enjoying my meal. I'm not enjoying the parade. Like, the whole thing is they shut the town down for us to have a good time, and I'm stuck next to a trash can making phone calls trying to find a welder.
Everybody started thinking, okay, who do we know? Who has access? Who are the local people that know welders, or try to get this resolved as quickly as possible? Because of course we wanted to be able to start the race with everyone else.
Hail Marys, calls, shots to the dark. Please shotgun this out. Please let people know we need a welder. We need it now.
So we started asking around with the various racers and people that we knew. Basically had nothing by the end of the day. We were coming back to the track the next morning, scrounging for ways to get on the track.
With the race only a few hours away, the team is in full crisis mode and without any solutions.
There's always the never say die attitude, and Lemons is not unexpected that you have to put out fires the day of. Like, that happens. But this isn't a small fire to put out. This is a deal breaker. This is a rate limiting moment. So Saturday morning, honestly, I'm walking in trying to mentally prepare myself to that, that's it. Like, we're going home.
A lot of concern, and a lot of worry about all the time and money we had invested in this, that it might not even happen. We may not even leave the pits.
I woke up Saturday morning with a random phone number on my phone with a single word beside it that said welder. So somebody had heard about our plight and offered their services. We got to the track. The track owner said, "Oh, I know somebody just a mile up the road who can do that for you."
Okay, great. Glimmer of hope. My father and I had kind of a little back and forth for a moment where he was like, I don't want you taking the car on the road, and I was looking at the clock saying, we are running out of time.
My son, against advice, against insurance, and against the local police's ordinances, got in this race car and drove it a mile up the road.
I realized later I didn't have my wallet. I had no identification, completely illegal vehicle, and I'm cruising down this back road in South Carolina looking for a guy I don't know at a shop I've never seen before to see if he can weld a roll bar in.
Only to discover that the man is retired and is no longer doing welding, and the next closest one is 15 miles away.
Well, I'm not going to drive 15 miles down the road in this car, so I don't have a solution right now, and it's that quick. It can go from hero to zero that quickly, and I think That's what you love and hate about lemons. It's brutal. Come on, man. We seriously gotta go find. Time's of essence. Again, you know, that roller coaster of like, hey, glimmer of hope. Nope, not gonna happen. So you drive back, you know, hat in hand, don't have that.
As other teams begin heading to the track, this crew is desperate and facing the real possibility that they won't get to race at all.
We have arrived now, we're at approximately 9:25. The race is going to start at 9:45. We do not have this car configured to go on the track. One of our team members, we call the Scrounger, had been going through the troops here and had come up with a couple of sources for a welder.
She knows a lot of people, and she's very resourceful, and she's very personable, and she has no fear. So Ann is scouring the paddock. Well, guess what? I get back, and Ann has found a team that has tubing.
I don't know much about working on a car, but I can source just about anything, and I'm not shy to, so I'll go up to anybody and ask them, hey, do you have this, do you have that? And as I passed one trailer, I saw some roll cage bars and sleeves in the back of the trailer.
All right, another glimmer of hope. Still gotta get it welded on though. All right, well, Ann has found somebody that knows how to weld.
I was just walking through, seeing who I might see who had welding equipment. Just started asking people, do you have a welder? Do you have welding equipment? And they were like, what do you need? I'm like, we need a welder, we need welding equipment, and we need the roll cage. So pretty much everything.
Tubing from one team, a welder from another team, and the actual welding equipment from a third team. To their credit, I mean, this is amazing story. This is a part of the Lemon story. Never met us before, never seen us before, may not see some of these people again. Guys in our car, cutting pipe.
This group of people, these racers, are like family. They'll do anything for you, inside the pits anyway. Out on the track's another story.
These guys want to beat you, but they want to beat you on the track. They don't want to beat you sitting in the garage.
You know, remember, this is my competitor. They put my car on the track, I'm competing against them. They don't help us, that's one less competitor on the track.
I've seen these guys' cars before, and I know that they're a good bunch of guys, but I don't know their names, don't know anything about them. Everybody here is willing to help. Part of the camaraderie here is one of the reasons that we keep doing this.
Out on the track, there's no mercy given, there's no quarter. I'm going to do everything I can to defeat you. Here in the paddock, when that visor goes up and you come out of the car, it's a family, it's a community.
And this was 20 minutes before the race started, so it was kind of crunch time. And we ended up finding what we needed. People were super helpful and got it in and got on the track.
I want to say it was 9 minutes, 10 minutes later, he's got the bar in. The race has not yet started, but we have a bar in the car.
Great people. They came through for us. We had a welder and a bar put in and passed inspection. They didn't charge us anything for it.
We have a car that's ready to go on the track. We went from zero to hero in an hour and a half.
Cannot tell you the roller coaster of emotions in that hour and a half that we went through.
Yeah, you're going from the lows to the highs real fast.
Here we go, let's go racing.
Saved by the kindness of strangers at the last minute, the team now scrambles to get on the track before the green flag.
All right, Jeff, give it hell.
I had zero experience on this track, but the least experience in the last 5 years, so I was going to go out first in order to just go around on the yellow flag and just get used to everything.
Unfortunately, of course, all the track officials are busy, so we didn't actually get to make the green.
Now we're a few laps behind already, but so I'm all ready to go, and I get my suits all on and everything, the helmet's on, and put the collar on around the helmet.
We think we're ready to go. Jeff pulls up. You know, I started walking away. Okay, he's going to go out on the track.
And it turns out that as I'm exiting for the track, the last minute tech looks and she says, that looks a little loose, and she took hold of it and moved it around, and certainly it was loose. She says, that won't do. I had to actually back up.
And all of a sudden I see him start backing the car up. Okay, well That's not good. So I go running up. Which this is something I've never heard of before, and I asked other teams and no one has ever heard of this. But apparently a neck collar too. So at this point in time, screw it.
Brian ran to one of the vendors here and grabbed the collar.
You know, I used to play a little sports and I probably haven't run as fast as I ran since then. I go booking it to a vendor, grab the first neck brace that's smaller than the one, I just look at the neck brace I had, find one that's smaller than it, buy it, run back.
Slapped it on me. First time he put it on there, I couldn't breathe. I think he was choking me a bit, so.
Didn't even give Jeff the option, just tilted his head forward, stuck it on him, go, 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 go.
Oh yeah, I like that.
I kind of ended up loosening it a bit, but it was tight enough to get back out on the track, so.
And out we went, and Jeff's on the track racing.
The race is on. The team tests a strategy by putting the least experienced driver in first.
It is close competition. It is real racing. There is a full adrenaline rush with this. There is absolutely every emotion you can think of in racing. You have to be aware of the track. You have to be aware of your peripheral vision, your rear view mirror, and all of that has to be coordinated at the same time you're making split-second decisions to dive into that corner.
You're, like I said, you're really racing out there. I was bumped a couple of times, so you know, people try really hard. I tried really hard, even though I hadn't been on the track in a while. You know, I let it all out.
We started out with our newest driver who had no experience on this track, give him time to get used to the track, get used to the car, and by the end of that session, he was turning competitive laps.
I'm used to a bit more powerful of a car. Because we were a bit slower, I was really cognizant of the traffic around me. I didn't want to hit anyone because that pulls both people off the track. I didn't want someone mad at me. I certainly didn't want to upset the rest of my team by being pulled off in the very first round. So I let people pass me, get on by, and I just did the best I could. I got some free laps in there where I could really learn the track. Eventually I did. I moved up a bit as far as my time, and I'm very proud that I was able to do that.
Speed and longevity. So that's the balance of an endurance race. And Jeff was out there for an hour and a half and he ran a clean race, didn't get any black flags, didn't have to come in, and that's exactly what you want.
So I kept up, did fairly competitive times, not quite up to everybody else, but then nonetheless I did okay. At least I wasn't a slouch.
A steady first run keeps the team competitive, but a complication in the pits costs the team time.
Processing through an hour and a half later, our first driver comes in, we put the second one in, make that transition.
I hadn't driven in 2 years, so I was a little bit rusty on getting the seatbelt and harness and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, we worked through all those, got comfortable with getting in and out of the car in like less than 10 seconds.
So part of racing is strategy too. So one of those strategies we learned is that by having Ann, who's our shortest driver, needs to either go first or last, because then once we adjust the belts for the rest of us, those belts don't have to change because the three guys are about the same size. So there was a little bit of lost time getting Ann in.
The driver change is new to me. I've jumped in and out of a car with a roll cage before, but that's been a long time, and I'm not in the same shape I used to be. To do it very quickly is not real easy, but you know, after watching the rest of the team who have the experience, I was able to do it very quickly and then help the next person get in.
Being out there and learning, I've driven mainly at this track, so I'm pretty comfortable at this track. That's a big benefit.
and had a great run, good, clean, consistent times. Same thing, again, it's an endurance race. You just want to be out there turning laps, and did a great job.
I had a great race. I had a lot of fun. I didn't get hit. I didn't hit anyone. It was just super fun. I did good laps. Was pretty consistent in that range. So that was good. I felt really good about that. Didn't work. That was not so great, but so it was really hot.
And there was one car out there, the guy was such a jerk. He blocked me through the carousel, just not everywhere I went. Oh.
That's racing, huh?
Yeah, it was fun then.
You get him tomorrow.
I'll get him later today.
The race is in full swing, and the competition and cars are scorching hot as driver 3 begins his session.
Everybody's exhausted. This car is hot. We drag people out, fill it up with gas. We put the third driver in.
Reservations, because I had seen this car before. I was happy on a Friday, got in, turned it on, it worked, and that's confidence inspiring. But having said that, I've also seen this car lose its right front wheel on the first lap.
Our car is a momentum car. It doesn't have a lot of horsepower. We try not to touch the brakes very often and just keep it rolling.
CMP is a very technical track, and cornering is key. If you can learn how to run the corners at CMP, you can be fast, even in a lower horsepower car. So my focus was to make up time in the corners. If the car would stay with me, that was what I was going to do. I was going to push, and that's what I did. I went out there and I drove as hard as I could for 2.5 hours. Here we go, hammer down. I'll talk to you later.
And then we get Brian in, who is just phenomenal. Definitely the best of the 4 of us by far. And he picks us up, so we're doing really well. I'm really happy.
I gave no one an inch, I gave no quarter. I made everybody work to pass me. I mean, they were going to pass me, but I made them work for it. I just didn't give it. And I actually was able to be fast enough to pass others.
Third driver is the most experienced one that we have on this track and the fastest. We moved up 20 spots in that one session that he was out.
I was having a good run, and I came into 14, which is a very hard right-hand turn. And the engine died on me, and because I didn't have any fuel. I had run out of fuel. So fortunately, the pit road is right there. I just took it right into the pit road, went straight in the pits. Everybody's like, what's wrong? I was like, I just need fuel.
Car's okay, fuel.
Filled up with 2 tanks of gas, and I was back out. And I ran for another 30 minutes, and then that was a good time for my father to get in and finish up the race.
Then things fell apart.
After driver 3's successful run, the team's position is extremely competitive, but a serious issue could cost them dearly.
I get off the track and was told, as it came in, told immediately, go to the fuel station.
I put a can in and the gauge still said half. So I thought, okay, we can put some more in.
I'm changing belts out and getting them ready for my father to get in and giving him, hey, the track, this is going on with the track, the brakes are good. All the technical driving things, we're talking about that, the fuel's going in.
I went ahead and put some more in, and it started getting full. I could feel that it was getting full, so I stopped and pulled it out. And sure enough, as I pulled it out, a little spilled out. So I knew that probably it's right up there.
Dad gets in the car, straps in, and goes out racing. So we thought.
And the next time we went out on the track, we got a black flag for spilling fuel.
Spilling fuel, okay. You know what? I put in 2 tanks when I was doing my run. Jeff put in 2 tanks, we put in too much fuel. That's an easy fix. Get it to the pits.
We siphoned gas off of it. We went back out, drove around for a while.
At first, nothing's being said or anything, but eventually someone noticed in the carousel that that fuel was coming out.
Come back in this time, now it's getting serious because one of the rules is 3 black flags and you're out. And actually with fuel, a lot of times it's 1 and you're out.
And of course we thought it was because we had overfilled it, that I had overfilled it. But it turned out that wasn't the case.
At the tech inspection, they decided that what we had was something wrong with the filler neck here.
At this point in time, the situation was very serious. The judges were like, fix this, come back and show it to us, or you're trailered, you're done.
We brought that back in, we spent an hour or so working on that, and with about 25 minutes left in the session for the day, we decided to go back out and try to get some laps in. I took the car out, I went around slowly the first couple of laps to let the fuel burn down a little bit more, make it clear all the pipes, and then I went for it. And we got black flagged the last lap.
Family ties are tested as tempers flare in the garage from the fuel issues.
My son is a very competitive man, somewhat like I was when I was his age. And his idea was that we had to be on the track all the time as fast as we possibly could. And while I agree with the principle behind that, as the older, more mature version of what I hope he will become one of these days, is a man who is responsible for 4 other lives. I want to make sure the car is safe, plus I have to comply with these rules because we want to come back here next year. If we blatantly say no to these guys and go out there deliberately without following their rules, they'll black flag us forever. And we enjoy the racing, so we wanted to come back.
I had worked very hard on my drive and was, I won't say proud, but I was satisfied with the run I had, and I had worked very hard to move the team up. And unfortunately, I should have handled this better. My dad and I had some tense moments because I was very frustrated with the time that we were losing with the fuel issues and things like that. I should have handled it better.
He had done the magnificent job of moving us up 20 spots, not only in our own class but in the overall, so that we were in a very competitive position. And yet, because of what happened with the car and the other configurations that we had to do to it, all of that went for naught. So he was very bitter and disappointed, and just wanted to get the car out there regardless.
You invest in yourself, and when you know you've done a good job and you've worked hard and earned the positions that we had earned, it was difficult to just watch that time go off the clock and know that we're dropping and losing positions every time. So, there was some tense moments there that I regret.
I'll meet you in the fence.
Despite a multitude of problems, the team has a solid finish on day one of the race.
It's a very nice moment at the end of the day. Everybody, like where the cars come off the track, everybody lines up, they clap. You know, it's a long day, and cheers to everybody for making it through the day. So we're having that nice moment. Here comes our car. My dad and I high-fived each other, and we're feeling good about life. As we're pulling through, headed back to our pits, I turn around and see the judge leaning in, talking to my dad in the car.
Before we even got back to the garage, one of the tech people came up to the car and said, "You're spilling fuel again. That's your third offense. You're out. You're on the trailer."
You guys are leaking fuel again. We've been flagging you for the last 20 minutes. If you didn't pay any attention, you guys got to go on the trailer. You're done.
Again, from best to worst, like it just happened all weekend. So walk up, and I walk up as I hear the judge saying, "You guys are done, you're trailered."
Fuel again. Sorry. We've been flagging you for the last half hour. I'm sorry, I am really done. Oh, shit. Look at it. I didn't see it.
We came in excited off the track, clapping and having a good time. Come back to the garage, and I tell the rest of the team, and they go from bouncing off the ceiling to just being in the basement.
All right.
Very good. Not good.
Not good?
Not good.
So I am just devastated in the car. I was excited we were doing well.
You got black flag. I got black flag for spilling fuel, and they say I missed the flag for 20 minutes.
We ended up getting a black flag for the third time, but technically it wasn't a black flag, we learned later.
Yeah, the second part of that was that they told me I had ignored a black flag for 30 minutes. Now that's a capital offense in my mind, and I don't do that. You might miss the black flag one lap, but you're not going to miss it for 30 minutes. That's 10 or more laps on this track. And so I was dumbfounded. We went back through our video footage and discovered that there were no black flags displayed to me throughout any of the length of time that we were on the track.
And obviously black flags are significant. That's key. Again, going back to safety, when you see a black flag, there's not an option, you come in.
I went to protest that. We got down there and found out that the man who had given us that penalty had been mistaken, that they had thrown the black flag at us with less than 3 minutes to go to the checkered flag, which was my last lap. So they decided not to even display the black flag. They just let me finish. So I cleared my name on that. I was not going to let that one go. I do not miss black flags. So we went from high to low to angry as bumblebees, and then said, okay, yeah, we screwed up as far as the car is concerned. We'll take our penalties on that, but we are not guilty of the black flag.
Packing up.
Are we screwed?
Yep, we're screwed.
We're done?
That's it,
Yep.
we're done.
As the race continues into day two, the team reflects on being disqualified.
We had well over 100 cars start yesterday. I don't know how many are still running today, but the attrition is at least 50% by this time. And by the end of the day, if we have 30 or 35 cars still running, that would be an average field. We would have a very good opportunity to be highly placed in class and in overall.
We talked about earlier in the interview, but I think it goes back to this is not manufactured drama. This is not made up storylines to make it more compelling. I mean, you saw people genuinely happy and genuinely despondent this weekend.
Yeah, the end of Saturday was a real heartbreak because we really were doing well. And when we went out for dinner, you could tell everyone was really disappointed they'd not be running today. The mood was not great. We still smiled and everything like that. And it was very disappointing indeed.
It sounds stupid, I know it's just racing and it's crazy cars and stuff, but I mean, you really do invest your time, money, blood, sweat, and tears legitimately into this. And to have it all go frustratingly wrong for you is kicking you while you're down.
Well, when I got here this morning, I thought to myself, well, this is kind of like salt in the wound. You hate being here and not being out there. And especially knowing that there's no possibility of going out. It's not like we're in the pits working on a problem so we can get back out there. We're done.
Cars running. This car could turn on right now and we could go run. I mean, they're out there behind us right now. We could run this car right now, but we can't because we've got a fuel thing we can't figure out and the judges have said you're done.
I think we ran the gamut of emotions. So we ended on the high of all of our drivers making competitive laps, the car being steady, strong, and doing its thing all day long without a hiccup, and yet we're still out of the race.
With the challenges of the past 3 months behind them, the team looks to the future.
Yeah, disappointed, but again, it's lemons, and that's what we do. You kind of get to know the cars and the people that are driving it. All the camaraderie is amazing. The people that are here that are so helpful. I don't know, I just love it. I mean, I just love it. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I absolutely love it.
This is lemons, this is racing. We have a car that is legitimately a $500 car. As a result, we have a part that we probably can get in a junkyard for about $2.50 that is sitting here this weekend. That's what happens. When you're trying to get a $500 car to drive for 24 hours as hard as you can drive it, things break, things don't work. What is gratifying to me is that while the car was running well, it was a balanced car, it was competitive, our people were safe, and they were having fun. I'm good with that.
But you know what, today we come in here and there are other people off too. It's the same situation. You know, that's Lemons Racing. It's a $500 car, and you're trying to get it to run for all that time at speed. I'm not disappointed one bit. I had just one heck of a time. I'm coming back next year and the year after that, and I'm going to have a better car. We're going to spend more time in making sure it's right. Absolutely had a great time and wouldn't trade it for anything.
I mean, I'm just so thankful that I have great friends that invite me to race with them. I can't tell you, I've been looking forward to being here ever since the last time I was here, which was 2 years ago. So hopefully it won't be that long next time.
Again, the camaraderie that we have in this area, the teamwork that we got, the way this team pulled together, it's a very eclectic group that we have, and yet we come together in harmony on this car and on this venue that we're doing with Lemons, and that's very gratifying. I love that.
You kind of collect your thoughts. You look at the bright side, which is, hey, we ran all day, very respectful numbers, ran consistently, the car worked. You're doing this because of the memories you're making. It's what we like to call the smiles per mile. The family, the community that you build out here is part of why you keep coming back. You love racing, you love going fast, you love pushing yourself, you love competing. You know, you're also doing it for your friends. It's to come see your friends. It's a reunion every time. So yeah, if I had a chance to do it again next weekend, I'd go through all of this again next weekend. So